Well, hey everybody. I am back. Ooh, I got some stuff to tell you from last week. And I got some very important news for every single veteran out there. Not just those covered by the PACT Act, but every single veteran out there. So, what do you say? Let's get started, shall we? Well, hey, I am back from my trip from last week. As some of you may know, I was asked to be the guest of Congresswoman Amelia Sykes at the State of the Union address. And oh my God, what a day! It was a full day of TV interviews, press conferences, banquet with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and then the State of the Union, which started late. And definitely was a memory maker, that's for sure. It's an experience I'll never forget. It was awesome. While there, little did I know that my congresswoman, she set up a meeting with VA Secretary McDonough. I was impressed with the man. See, my very first trip to Washington, D.C. was to the Senate hearing on the PACT Act. It's the first time I met Senator Sherrod Brown as well. Senator Sherrod Brown came up, introduced himself, asked me to tell my story, gave him the short version. Next thing I know, when it was his turn to question Secretary McDonough, he had him turn around because I was sitting behind him and meet me. Well, the man remembered who I was. I walked into the room where the press conference for the Veteran Affairs Committee was the House Veterans Affairs Committee was being held, and he knew who I was as soon as I walked in. That's impressive alone. Then we had a very good talk. One things we discussed was there's no medical code for constrictive bronchiolitis. He is very aware of that. So he's trying to do whatever he can because he's not the one who can designate any codes. There's another agency that has to do that. So he told me he's in contact with them. He's trying to get that worked out. Another thing we discussed was service dogs through the VA. If you go to va.gov, you know there is, and if you type in service dogs, it's going to bring you to a link for the prosthetics department. Then it explains to you what you need to do for the VA to help you, to assist you in obtaining a service dog. They don't get the service dog for you, but there is a program to help you get this service dog. And part of that program is once you're approved through the VA that you need a service dog, and you go through training, and when you complete the training with the dog, the VA will pay for health insurance for the dog. Will pay for all the equipment the dog needs. Collars, leashes, harnesses, stuff that every dog needs. Also, when you are approved and they find a dog, they pay for travel expenses, mileage, airfare, whatever, hotel, food, they pay for that. But there's a catch. If you need a service dog to help you with your PTSD, you're to go through your mental health provider, and they have to write a consult and send it over to prosthetics. Well, many mental health departments in the VA system are refusing to do this. So we discussed that in length. Not because I think I need a service dog. That's beside the point. Then, as we were discussing this, my Congresswoman, Amelia Sykes, chimed in and says, I have gotten numerous phone calls from veterans stating the same thing. And the secretary thanked me for bringing it up. He had called his assistant while he was talking with me, told him that this needs to get taken care of. So I'm waiting to hear back from him or his office very soon. And I think this will be remedied, and mental health will know exactly their role now. So, but enough of that. Because on the 5th, some new expanded benefits under the PACT Act were released early. I'm talking almost a decade early. These benefits were released. Now, even though they fall under the PACT Act, this affects almost every single veteran today, right now. See, this is one of the largest ever expansions. Well, the PACT Act was one of the largest ever expansions of veteran health care. But these new benefits extend that, because all veterans exposed to toxins and other hazards during military service at home or abroad. Let me stress that again. Home or abroad are now eligible for VA health care. All right. I'm going to say that one more time. All veterans exposed to toxins and other hazards during military service at home or abroad are now eligible for VA health care. At the direction of President Biden, the VA is expanding this health care eligibility to millions of veterans, including all veterans who served in the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, and other combat zone areas after 9/11. They've released these years earlier than what the PACT Act called for. Is this going to cause a bottleneck? Well, yeah, it might slow things down a little bit. All right, a little bit. But, would you rather wait 6-7 months to get your claim approved than not being able to get healthcare through the VA at all? Now, like I said, on March 5th, the VA announced that all veterans who were exposed to toxins and other hazards while serving in the military, and we stress at home or abroad, are now eligible to enroll directly in VA healthcare. You didn't have to serve in a war zone now. So people at the former George Air Force Base, if you're sick and you can prove it was from those toxins, you're going to get VA health care. Edwards Air Force Base, where they're still sending people knowing how contaminated that base is. If you were stationed there and you are now out of the service, you qualify for VA health care. The only downside of this, unfortunately, are those men and women who were stationed out at like Area 51, with the aliens, Tonopah testing range, Nevada testing and training range. See, those folks are what's called data masked by the DOD. The Department of Defense says those bases don't exist, so therefore these veterans don't exist. So they can't even get into VA healthcare at all. Now, I did discuss that with the VA secretary too, and he is aware. But until they get a law passed, all right, his hands are kind of tied on this. Now, he can talk to the DOD and try to convince them that, hey, you need to go ahead and get this taken care of, which I'm pretty sure he has. But until the DOD either lifts that data mask or puts a code out, unfortunately, I think those folks are still in the position that they're in now. I think it fucking sucks. They're honorably discharged veterans. They should be allowed to get into the VA system, period. Many of them are having plutonium poisoning. They all tested, a lot of them tested positive for plutonium. And the DOD has it set up to where they cannot get VA healthcare. So we're still working on that. Now, what this means is that all veterans who served in the Vietnam War, Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, the global war on terror, or any other combat zone after 9/11 are eligible to enroll in VA healthcare without first applying for VA benefits. Additionally, veterans who never deployed but were exposed to toxins or hazards while training or on active duty in the United States are eligible to enroll. So, yes, you reservists and guardsmen, if you were called to active duty and you were exposed to toxins, even here stateside, you are now eligible to get into the VA system. God, excuse me there with my Bigfoot Sasquatch mug here. Got that for Christmas. Thank my wife for that. Big fan of Sasquatch. Do I think he's real? They're going to have to prove it to me. Until they show me a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, to me, it's an urban legend. So, but back to what we were talking about. Have you all gotten the point yet that it doesn't matter where you were stationed at? If you were exposed to toxins, you are now eligible for VA healthcare. Now, I'm sure there's, we're going to get into this a little bit deeper here. Now, this expansion of care covers Vietnam veterans, Gulf War veterans, Iraq War veterans, Afghanistan War veterans, veterans who deployed in support of contingency operations for the global war on terror, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Freedom Sentinel, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn, Operation Inherent Resolve and Resolute Support Mission, and more. I'm not quite sure what the other more is, but I'll tell you how you can find out at the end of these slides. Now, this expansion also covers many veterans who never deployed as part of a conflict or were exposed to toxins or hazards while serving in the U.S. Specifically under this expansion of care, any veteran who participated in a toxic exposure risk activity, TERA, at home or abroad is eligible for VA health care. Now, VA has determined that veterans who were exposed to one or more of the following hazards or conditions during active duty for training, or inactive duty training participated in a TERA, such as air pollutants, burn pit, sand, dust, particles, oil well fires, if you're a Gulf War veteran, sulfur fires. Don't know where we burned sulfur, but I'm pretty, if they got it on here, it happened. Chemicals such as pesticides, herbicides, depleted uranium, which I tested positive for, with embedded shrapnel, which I do not have, contaminated water. So you say contaminated water. Fire foam. Yes. As I read down, you can see. All right. Occupational hazards such as asbestos. Everybody who was stationed at George Air Force Base was exposed to asbestos because it was, well, anybody who lived in base housing. That's what they use for insulation in all the houses and dormitories on George Air Force Base. Industrial solvents. So, hey, if you were Air Force and you worked in CE, bingo. Or if you scrubbed down the airplanes, industrial solvents. Lead, paints including chemical agent resistant coating. Not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure some of you do. Firefighting foams. Okay. Radiation. If you worked in nuclear weapons handling, maintenance and detonation, radioactive material, calibration and measurement sources, X-rays, radiation from military occupation exposure. Warfare agents, nerve agents, chemical and biological weapons. Hey, Gulf War veterans, we're still fighting for that. But here you go. Those of you who got the letter from the DOD stating that you were exposed to sarin or mustard gas, boom, you got the letter. That proves you were exposed to this stuff. You now can get health care through the VA. Listen up, folks. If you got a letter from the DOD and you're a Gulf War veteran and they told you were exposed to either sarin and or mustard gas, boom, get those claims in. It's right there in black and white. It is now law. I have to catch my breath for a minute. I'm getting excited over this stuff, man. Now, I told you that I was going to tell you how you can find out more information on this. All right. Since these expanded benefits do fall under the PACT Act, go to va.gov/PACT, PACT. All the information you need to know is right there. Okay? Or you can call 1-800-MYVA411. MYVA 411. Now, I prefer to go to the website because you can take your time reading it and decipher exactly what it means for you. The 1-800 number, if you got questions, there's the place to go for your answers. You know what? Let me back up on this here. Right here. As of March 5th, 2024, that was last week, the VA announced that all veterans who were exposed to toxins and other hazards while serving in the military, at home or abroad, so if you were a firefighter in the military, and chances are you were exposed to fire foam and you're probably now sick, boom, there you go. Put your claims in. You no longer have to have served in a war zone. Get those claims in, get into the VA system. Look, the VA has improved a lot. Is it perfect? No. But is any hospital in this country perfect? There isn't one. It can take months to get into, like, the Cleveland Clinic. That's one of the best hospitals in the world. So they say. But it can take months to get in there. Private hospitals are no better than the VA these days. All right? Plus, if you do have private insurance, here's your way to get into the VA system and get second opinions. Bet some of you didn't think about that now, did you? If you got private health care, get in the VA system too. You can get second opinions that way. All right, folks. Now, one of the things that I also discussed with not just Secretary McDonough, but with numerous lawmakers, numerous congressmen. Now, since it was Congressman Amelia Sykes who asked me to be her guest, I spent the entire day on the House side. So, talked to numerous congressmen about the need for a National Veteran Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day. I would like to see it to be September 22nd. Why that day, Tim? September is National Suicide Awareness Month. 22 veterans take their own lives. At least 22 veterans take their lives every single day. That's why I'd like it to be September 22nd. Now, there's been some development since the last time I talked to you about this. I had a meeting with my state senator, Christina Rogner, and I was able to convince her that this needed to become law in the state of Ohio. For her office to call me back later on that day and say, hey, Tim, did you already know that the first Saturday of May is Veteran Suicide Awareness Day in the state of Ohio? No, I did not. But it still needs to be September 22nd. And I says, she agrees with you, Tim. So she wrote an amendment to that bill to change it from the first Saturday of May to September 22nd. It is now in the Veteran and Public Safety Committee's hands. I haven't heard when it's going to be discussed yet. I'm sure it'll be here pretty soon. Now, here's the thing. I also tried to get a meeting with my state congressman, Bill Roner. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not quite sure. That he passed it off to two other congressmen. His staff says, Tim, get in contact with these two congressmen that are veterans. They'll take care of you. So I emailed them. The staff on both of them says, yeah, we're on board with this. One of those congressmen happened to show up at my VFW meeting last night to talk to us. DeBartolo is his name. One, he had no idea that, he was a Marine. And he had no idea that the first Saturday of May was Veteran Suicide Awareness Day in Ohio. So I says, hey, my congressman told me to contact your office, which I did, and your office says you're on board with this. And he says, they didn't tell me. So I put him on the spot in front of the entire VFW. He's now on board. So, as a matter of fact, I got an email from his staff saying, yes, he is. He's well aware of everything now. So, there is a petition going around. Let me see if I got the... No, I no longer have that. But look at our Facebook pages. It's on there. Sign the petition. Because it looks like we're going to have to get an executive order by President Biden to get this done. Now, with the congressmen that I talked to on the 7th, who are all for this, a lot of these folks are the same folks that I worked with in the PACT Act. Do I trust them? Yes. Hell yes. Two of them, Congressman Takano, who's the Democrat lead on the Veteran Affairs Committee, and Congressman Ruiz. Both of them swore to me that they will help me get this done. Of course, my congresswoman's all for it too, and she's been helping me. So something tells me something's going to happen here soon, folks. I'll keep you posted. But enough is enough. I know you don't want to hear me ramble all night long, so here we are. If you feel you are in crisis, my brothers and sisters, pick up your phone, dial 988, then press 1. You know by now you're going to be guaranteed to speak with a licensed therapist. All right? Please. If you don't trust the VA, talk to your spouse. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your friends. Talk to your coworkers. Say, hey, I can't take it anymore. There are programs out there to help you. All right? (988), then press 1. We are losing too many brothers and sisters to suicide. We need to do everything we can to help them. Now, as some of you know, I've started an organization called Veterans Assurance, not insurance, assurance. Here, I'll put up this here. This is how you can get in contact. Support at veteransassurance.org. I'll put that into the description for those of you who are listening just to the audio. If you want to volunteer and help us, send us an email. If you're another nonprofit and would like to come on and promote what you do, email us. If you are a veteran that is going through some rough times dealing with the VA or your doctors, if you're in private medical, shoot us an email. We'll get you on, tell your story. If you happen to be in the VFW and Vets or Legion and you happen to know or are the individual who handles state legislation for the state you're in, shoot us an email. We'll get you on. Talk about your pending legislation in the state you reside in. Folks, we're trying to help everybody we can. Help us a little bit, and we'll help you folks a lot. If you know of a veteran who needs a portable oxygen concentrator, shoot us an email. All right. As always, I and the folks at Veterans Assurance Network thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And I do not have a guest yet for next week. I will. So until then, take care of yourselves. And if you're not okay, please let somebody know so you can get some help. All right, brothers and sisters, we'll see you next week.